There is a quiet kind of exhaustion that comes from standing in front of simple choices and feeling your mind turn them into emotional battlegrounds. Choosing what to eat, whether to reply now or later, which route to take, what tone to use in a message. Things that seem effortless for others can feel overwhelming when every option carries invisible weight. If you've ever found yourself replaying small decisions in your head long after they've passed, questioning whether you chose right, wondering what could have gone differently, you're not weak, broken, or dramatic. You are experiencing something deeply human, and often deeply learned. Overthinking small decisions rarely begins with the decision itself. It usually begins much earlier, in moments when safety felt uncertain, when mistakes felt costly, when approval felt fragile. Many people who overthink grew up in environments where being wrong had consequences, emotional, social, or sometimes even physical. Maybe you were criticized often. Maybe your choices were questioned. Maybe love felt conditional on performance, or maybe you learned early that being careful was the best way to avoid conflict, disappointment, or rejection. When a child learns that mistakes lead to shame, withdrawal, or instability, their nervous system adapts. It becomes hyper-alert. It starts scanning for danger even in ordinary moments. Over time, this turns into a pattern. Think more, analyze deeper, double-check everything, because safety seems to live in perfection. So what looks like overthinking on the surface is often just a form of emotional self-protection. It's the mind saying, if I can just get this right, maybe nothing bad will happen. As adults, this protective strategy doesn't disappear. It evolves. You may find yourself standing in a grocery aisle for 10 minutes comparing brands, writing and deleting messages multiple times, replaying conversations in your head late at night, struggling to commit to plans, feeling anxious after making choices, even good ones, wondering if you offended someone, questioning if you should have spoken up or stayed quiet, worrying that one wrong move might cost you relationships, opportunities, or respect. And underneath all of it is often a deep fear. What if I mess this up and it proves something bad about me? People who overthink small decisions often tie their self-worth to their choices. Decisions don't feel neutral. They feel like reflections of intelligence, morality, likability, and value. A simple mistake doesn't register as human error. It registers as evidence. Evidence that you're careless. Evidence that you're not good enough. Evidence that you disappoint people. Evidence that you're failing. So every choice becomes heavy. Every decision feels like a test. This is why overthinking is so emotionally draining. It's not about being indecisive. It's about constantly trying to protect your identity. Another layer beneath overthinking is a heightened sensitivity to other people's reactions. Many overthinkers grew up needing to read emotional cues carefully. They learned to monitor tone, mood, facial expressions, and unspoken expectations. This skill once helped them feel safer. But later, it turns inward. You begin predicting how every choice might affect others. Will they be upset? Will they think I'm selfish? Will they lose respect? Will they leave? Will they judge me? So before acting, your mind runs endless simulations. Scenario after scenario, outcome after outcome, worst case after worst case. And even when you finally choose, the thinking doesn't stop. You review it, analyze it, doubt it, reinterpret it, because part of you still isn't sure you're allowed to trust yourself. Overthinking also tends to grow in people who are praised mainly for being good, smart, or responsible. When love and recognition come from being dependable and flawless, you learn that mistakes threaten belonging. So you become vigilant, careful, self-monitoring. You start believing, I'm valued because I get things right. Not because you exist, not because you're worthy, but because you perform well. That belief doesn't disappear in adulthood. It just hides inside your choices. It whispers, don't mess this up. It whispers, be careful. It whispers you can't afford to be wrong. Over time, this constant pressure creates anxiety, mental fatigue, decision paralysis, self-doubt, emotional burnout. You may feel mentally tired even on calm days. You may avoid choices altogether sometimes. You may procrastinate, You may feel overwhelmed by options. You may compare yourself to people who seem effortless and wonder why everything feels harder for you. And that comparison hurts because you don't see their internal world. You only see your own. Another painful aspect of overthinking is how it affects relationships. You may worry excessively about saying the wrong thing. You may reread texts for hidden meanings. You may take neutral responses personally. You may struggle to express needs because you don't want to inconvenience anyone. You may over-explain yourself, apologize too much, second-guess boundaries. This can lead to emotional invisibility. You start shrinking, adapting, adjusting, until sometimes you're not even sure what you want anymore because you've spent so long prioritizing safety over authenticity. And yet, despite how exhausting it is, overthinking also shows something beautiful about you. It shows that you care deeply. It shows that you're thoughtful, reflective, conscientious. It shows that you don't take life lightly. Your mind doesn't rush because it wants to be responsible. It wants to be kind. It wants to avoid harm. It wants to do right by people. Those are strengths. They only become painful when they turn against you. Healing overthinking doesn't mean becoming careless. It means learning to feel safe without perfection. It means slowly teaching your nervous system that mistakes are survivable, that discomfort is temporary, that being imperfect does not cost you your worth. One of the hardest lessons for overthinkers is realizing that most people are not judging you the way you judge yourself. They are focused on their own lives, their own worries, their own inner worlds. The story you replay for days may barely exist in their memory. Another powerful shift is learning to separate identity from decisions. A bad choice does not make you bad. An awkward moment does not make you unlovable. A wrong turn does not define your future. You are not your mistakes. You are your intentions, your effort, your growth. Learning to trust yourself again takes time. It starts with small acts of courage, making tiny decisions without overanalyzing, allowing yourself to choose and move on, practicing self-compassion when things don't go perfectly. It looks like saying, I did my best with what I knew. It looks like saying, I'm allowed to learn. It looks like saying, I'm still worthy, even now. You may also need to reconnect with your body. Overthinking lives in the mind, but safety lives in the nervous system. Breathing deeply, grounding yourself, noticing tension, slowing down. These small practices help remind your body that you are not in danger when you choose. You are just living, and living is messy. There will never be a version of life where every decision is perfect. Even the right choices come with uncertainty. Even well-planned paths have unexpected turns. The goal isn't to control every outcome. It's to trust yourself to handle whatever comes. And you can. You've been handling things your whole life. You've survived confusion, disappointment, heartbreak, change. You've adapted, learned, grown, even when you didn't realize it. If you overthink, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means you learn to be careful in a world that once felt unpredictable. It means you developed intelligence and awareness as survival tools. It means your heart learned to protect itself. Now, gently, you're allowed to unlearn the parts that hurt. You're allowed to choose without fear, to speak without rehearsing, to rest without guilt, to trust without proof. You're allowed to live without constantly auditing yourself. Healing doesn't happen overnight. But every time you choose self-kindness over self-criticism, you are rewiring your mind. Every time you let a decision be good enough, you are building emotional freedom. Every time you forgive yourself, you are loosening the grip of fear. And slowly, quietly, life becomes lighter. Not because it's perfect, but because you finally believe you are enough to handle it, just as you are.